No. No, if I used my computer in the basement, you'd see much more intriguing.
Do tell. What?
No. No, if I used my computer in the basement, you'd see.
I'm gonna go get my mantle of power. It's in my suitcase.
Ready, set, go.
We all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the planning board meeting of Town of Kennebunkport Planning Board for April 21st. Normally I would give a whole lesson in how to do public hearings on Zoom and what happens when you dial in and such, but there is no public hearing. There's only an initial review and a finding of facts today. So I'm going to skip that part. And I'm going to go through attendance. And it would appear.
Tom, just to clarify, I thought we had a continuation of a public meeting to do with Colony.
No, that's next time. We just have two things on the agenda for tonight. Colony sent in their stuff and said they wanted to be with us on Cinco de Mayo instead.
I beg your
Okay.
pardon.
All right.
Okay, anywho, so attendance. We have Tom Boak, we have Ed, we have Larry, we have George. We have no John. I don't know if he'll call in. I know Nina and Scott are not here tonight, but we do have a quorum since there are five of us.
Well, there's four, so that's still a quorum.
Four. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just counting that box up there, even though that's me. I was counting it as a box, so never mind. Yes, we have four. It's still more than three.
Yeah.
The first piece on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the meeting. I know, Larry, you sent in a revision and she got it and agreed to it, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm, if you want me to read it, I can, or we can just approve the minutes as revised.
I think
fine with me.
you sent it out. I would move to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to go through in favor. I'm in favor. Ed,
In favor?
Larry,
In favor.
George.
In favor.
Okay. Now, we have two items on the agenda. First is a finding of facts for the main stay in. So let me just try to read that quickly. Kennebunkport Planning Board Site Plan Application of Main Stay Inn and Cottages, 34 Main Street, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. An application dated February 3rd, 2021, Kennebunkport Captain's Collection LLC seeks site plan approval for improvements and modifications to parking and landscaping. Public hearing was held on March 17th, continued on April 7th. In the interim between there, the site plan was revised and submitted on March 29th pursuant to the land use ordinance. The Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings of facts. The owner of the property is Kennebunkport Captain's Collection LLC, care of Robert Blood, has an address of 29 Main Street, Amesbury, Mass. 01913. Letter dated January 29th, 2021 to Sebago Techniques, Robert Blood, authorized Sebago Techniques to act on behalf of as agent for these matters. Property is located with street address of 34 Main Street, Kennebunkport, Maine. Property is located at the Village Residential Zone. The owner, Kennebunkport Captain's Collection LLC, care of Robert Blood, has demonstrated legal interest in the property by providing a copy of warranty deed recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 18149, page 540, INSTR 202003038, dated 1/17/2020. Property is comprised of 1.2 acres more or less of land and several buildings herein described as hotel motel, 17 units be used for commercial purposes. Property is located at map 10, block 6, lot 1 on the municipal tax assessor's maps. In an application dated March 29th, the applicant proposes A, to relocate the parking lot to lawn area in the rear of the inn. This removes the parking lot from view of the abutters on Main Street. Tree removal has been minimized. The lot will be screened internally with evergreen hedge. Total on-site parking remains 18 spaces. Fire Chief John Everett has no concerns with the redesign. B, to have individual gas fireplaces at the cottages and have one common fireplace in the front side yard. This location will be fully screened with evergreen plantings along the property lines to be visually screened from abutters. The common fireplace will close at 9 p.m. All individual cottage fireplaces will close at 10 p.m. Another private terrace and fireplace has been added to the guest room off of the south side of the main inn. Excuse me. D, to install light fixtures with minimize light pollution. A cut sheet was provided on the proposed light fixtures. They're full cutoff fixtures that can be that will be less than 6 feet tall and remain the same count as the original property. The applicant has requested no submission waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport land use ordinance. 9, this property is legally non-conforming in the following ways. A, in accordance with section 240-4.3, hotels, motels, and inns are not allowed in the village residential zone. This use is unchanged by the application. B, in accordance with section 240-6.9G, 20 parking spaces should be provided. However, only 18 are currently provided. The number of spaces remains unchanged in this application. C, in accordance with section 240-7.7A, no building should be closer than 40 feet from the property line, and open space area should be at least 20 feet from the property line. The cottages are closer than these setbacks from the property line. The distance remains unchanged by this application. D, in accordance with 240-77D, the total area of buildings plus total area of parking spaces and driveways should not exceed 25% of the entire lot for multi-story buildings. The lot coverage in this application has been reduced from 37% to 30%, which is less non-conforming. The applicant has requested no performance standard waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport land use ordinance. Pursuant to the requirements of Article 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance Guidelines for Decisions, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative ruling in one or more of the following identified findings, which would otherwise compel denial. A, the proposed use meets the definition and specific requirements set forth in the Land Use Ordinance and will be in compliance with applicable state or federal laws. Finding yes, the proposed renovation reduces the non-conformance of property with regard to lot coverage, and non-conforming use is not changed or increased. B, the proposed use will not create fire safety hazards and will provide adequate access to the site or to the buildings on the site for emergency vehicles. Finding yes. Owner shall implement features which minimize or eliminate fire safety issues associated with the fire pits, including the following. All fire pits will be fueled by propane. 2, prevention of people from falling into the fire pit, prevention of non-approved fire pit use, such as wood or charcoal fires, and 4, control of time intervals when propane is available for the pits. C, proposed exterior lighting will not create hazards to motorists on adjacent public streets and is adequate to provide safety of occupants and users of the site, will not damage the value or diminish the usability of adjacent properties. Finding yes. External light poles will be added. The parking areas will not exceed 6 feet in height, and light will be directed downward. D, the provisions for buffers of on-site landscaping provide for adequate protection to neighboring properties from detrimental features of development. Finding yes. E, the proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the use and peaceful enjoyment of abutting properties as a result of noise, vibration, fumes, odor, dust, glare, or other cause. Finding yes. F, the provisions of vehicular loading and unloading and parking and for vehicular and pedestrian circulation on the site and onto adjacent public streets will not create hazards to safety. Finding yes. G, the proposed use will not have a significant detrimental effect on the value of adjacent properties, nor has a significant detrimental effect which could not be avoided by reasonable modification of the plan. Finding yes. H, the design of the site will not result in significant flood hazards or flood damage and is in conformance with applicable flood hazard protection requirements. Yes. I, adequate provision has been made for disposal of wastewater and solid waste and or prevention of ground and surface water contamination. Yes. J, adequate provision has been made to control erosion or sedimentation. Finding yes. K, adequate provision has been made to handle stormwater runoff for either drainage problems on the site or other drainage problems on the site. Finding yes. L, the proposed water supply will meet the demands of the proposed use for fire protection purposes. Finding yes. M, adequate provision has been made for the transportation, storage, and disposal of hazardous substitutions and materials as defined by state law. Finding not applicable. N, the proposed use will not have an adverse impact on scenic vistas or significant wildlife habitat and will not have an impact that could be avoided by reasonable modification of the plan. Finding yes. O, the proposed use will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion. Finding yes. P, existing off-site ways and traffic facilities can safely and conveniently accommodate the increased traffic generated by the development as far away from the development as the effects of the development can be traced with reasonable accuracy. Finding yes. Pending negative finding by the board means the application has been denied. The application is otherwise complete. Conclusions. Article 1010A of Land Use Ordinance mandates the planning board shall approve the site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial. As noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision. Site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval, if any, pursuant to Articles 1010, 1011, and 1012E. 1, the applicant pursuant to 1012E shall notify planning board prior to transfer of rights to construct an approved project. No assignment or transfer of rights to construct an approved project is valid without prior review and approval by planning board for new performance guarantee to ensure that the assignee or transferee has financial capability to undertake and complete the project. 2, the applicant must record a copy of this decision and provide proof of such recordation in the form of a copy thereof attested by the Register of Deeds before any permit may be issued or before any construction may commence. The applicant shall ensure that the following agreements are implemented. A, owner shall implement features which will minimize or eliminate fire safety issues associated with the fire pits. 1, all fire pits will be fueled with propane. 2, prevention of person falling into fire pit. 3, prevention of non-approved fire pit use such as wood or charcoal fires. 4, control of time intervals when propane is available for the fire pits. In personnel must extinguish the common fire pit no later than 9 p.m. Individual fire pits must be extinguished no later than 10. And B, light poles throughout the property are not to exceed 6 feet in height, and the light shall be directed downward. Dated April 21st, 2021. Yes.
One thing to note, I think I heard that 20 parking spaces were noted, and I think the site only required 19. I think 19 is what's on the, if you look at the plan, 19 is what's on the plan.
But it only had 17 total, right? Or 18 total.
Yeah, I thought it was 18. Isn't
I think it has 18 total. And
Yeah,
that hasn't really changed. It
I
had
just
20 when you counted the street.
No, I just counted them up on the plan. So there were 9 spaces on one side, 7 on the other, and then there were another 3, in the ADA location.
So it's,
So that takes us to 19.
okay. And the current, they currently have 19?
I
Let me
think
go
they
back.
currently have 18, don't they? And then you had 2 on the street, which they can't count. So
Right,
that
which they
actually-
couldn't, yeah,
The
which they
20 is the
couldn't count.
requirement. Well, anyway, if you,
Yeah,
Werner, do me a favor and initial it to the right, and we'll all go
Okay.
down and sign
Yes.
sign
Yeah.
it, and you'll initial the change that needs to go in.
There
Yeah.
we go.
nope, we'll do.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second the motion.
Okay, so I'm in favor. Ed,
Yes, in favor.
Larry,
In favor.
George.
In favor.
Okay. So that brings us to item 2. The 190401 Henry Family Trust Ambit Engineering Authorized Agent Site Plan Review for a dock. So we need to have the representatives of civil consultants or Ambit Engineering or somebody. Come
I have a
on.
Jeffrey Oleva with his hand up, so I'll promote him.
Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'd like to ask to have Ralph Austin promoted also as with the applicant. And my name is
Right.
Jeff Oliva. I'm with Civil Consultants. We've taken over the project from Ambit Engineering.
Okay.
And I can kind of go through that once I see Ralph joins in here. I'll give a rundown of where we're at, what we've done, and
Okay.
how we feel we meet the ordinance requirements.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Is that how
Good,
you?
proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, my name is Jeff Oliva. I'm an engineer with Civil Consultants. We've been hired by the property owners to take a second look at the proposed dock that was denied a year or 2 ago here on the property. And what we've done is we have come through with a modified design that reduces the overall length to be less than 100 feet based on the ordinance requirements of Section 511. And the remaining other items of Section 511 are met and still were met with the original design and are continued to be met with this proposed revision. And what we did with the revision was basically 2 things, is that we reduced the pier length by about 8.5 feet and reduced and actually changed what was proposed to be a ramp to gain access from the pathway to stairs. And what that did is that allowed us to still have an optimum, best and same use of the float, but reduce the overall length of the system to be less than 100 feet. We went through, received approvals to modifications to both the Army Corps and the MDEP permits that were granted for the first approval. Those were copies of the revised approvals were included in the application package, along with a set of plans that indicates the length, changes, plan details, and cross-section of the proposed dock. Same dimensions, same overall width, same width of the dock. Piers meet the driven piles meet the requirements of the ordinance, but we did come up with a system that meets the requirements of the ordinance with an overall length that's less than 100 feet. And I think that's about it, Mr. Chairman. I can answer questions and we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Let me just start. A couple things on your site plan review application. And Werner will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we determined the last time that this is resource protection as well as shoreland, so there should be an X there.
Yes, that's correct. And that, that may be, that may be my fault on that piece. What may be on the website may be the first iteration that Jeff supplied. Him and I did go over that, and he did correct that on the official submission.
Okay, because the submission I'm looking at in this nicely bound, GBC bound submission does not have the X there.
Yeah.
Okay. Just cleanup kind of thing. When I see existing unknown, proposed unknown, what, unknown, when the answer is not applicable, not applicable, not applicable, it would seem a more sensible thing to put on a form, since the type of sewage disposal is completely non-applicable for a dock unless you're doing something I really don't think you should. Again, it says percentage occupied by structures. That's again really not applicable rather than unknown. I mean, but that was just a nitpick. So when we heard this the first time, the reason you couldn't do the 51, you couldn't have the fixed pier out there was because they had to go the extra distance in order that the float be able to go down level on the bottom. And you've done something that I think I saw in the drawing somewhere that allows it to be not level.
Exactly. So what we did is afterwards I went and we spoke to a couple different float people that work on these, and it's not uncommon to have a sloped area near where the float is going to rest. So what we do is once we go out there and we know what the elevation differences are across the length of the width of that float, is then now what we do is we take a measurement and we can adjust the rails and have a sloped rail system so that when the tide does go out, that float sits at as level as possible based on the differing elevations on that side. So that allows us to kind of pull that float back a little bit. If we look at the topography out in that area, there's a little bit of difference. So just based on kind of the information that was provided, Ambit was very generous and gave us a lot of their base information for us to take a look at and use for this design. If we look at where that new float's going to be, we feel that we can accommodate the level placement and low tide with adjustable rails.
All righty. I don't have anything else right off the top of my head. How about Ed? Do you have anything?
No, Tom, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Larry?
Well, not really. I mean, I was looking at the drawing, seemed pretty comprehensive. I don't really have anything at the moment.
Okay. George?
No, I mean, we're lucky we are familiar with the site.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's going to be, we've already got a butter letters that we'll be discussing when we go to the public hearing phase. But
We do?
it just
One
came
came
today.
today.
It was in the mail. It
Seems
was
email.
emailed.
I didn't
today.
get it yet. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And, I think at this point, I will accept a motion, to say it's complete.
Well, I move that to accept the application as complete.
I would second that motion.
Okay, I'm in favor, Ed.
In favor, yes.
Yes, Larry,
In favor?
George.
In favor.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll see you on Cinco de Mayo,
All right.
along with a
Very good.
lot of other business. So
Okay.
be not surprised if it's, I don't know if we have a new rule that we only go till 9 when we're on Zoom, because we used to turn things off at 10 o'clock when
No.
we started at 7. But next time we have Ivy 3, we have this, and we have the 2 Colony, all of which are public hearings. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm sure they'll all go smoothly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Open and
Don't
shut.
worry.
I think your bylaws specify that you don't start another application after a certain time.
10.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
Right. Yeah, it does say 10, but it also, that operates under the assumption that you were starting at 7. So,
Right. Well, we'll find out.
Right.
Because the last time we went that long was Ambit Engineering on Epps Cove. So
Oh.
for information.
That's right. We're familiar with this one.
We're hardy lads.
Yeah, it was all of us. We lost Neil Higgins since then, but the rest of us were all here for the first one. So
Yeah.
He left because of it.
That's right.
that's right. Oh, just
Oh,
after
well.
this. In fact, Larry read the finding of facts, even though it was Neil had written it.
We look forward to it. I think it's a terrific application. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens.
All right. thank you.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. And board members, please go in and see Lisa. And
Right.
sign
I am out of
finding
town. I will
fact.
not be available until Monday. Will that be okay?
Well, everybody
No.
that can should go in and sign them. Obviously, we're not going to send her to Akron to get your signature. So
Toledo.
Whatever.
Toledo scales.
Somewhere in Ohio. So we'll certainly get the 3 of us to sign it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll sign it tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. If we get 3 of you all to sign.
Very good.
Yeah. And Nina is probably could come over and sign. She's her husband has a new pacemaker installed today. So that,
Wonderful.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Could I have one more motion?
So I move to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
Oh, he has
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Yes,
I
sorry.
do. I'm sorry. I have one item. We were looking to schedule a site walk
Oh, yeah.
for, was it Bow Sprit subdivision?
Yes.
And it was looking like next Thursday, next Thursday afternoon was going to be a good time for the applicant. And so if you all could just take a look at your calendars and check back in with Lisa on that, that would be appreciated. So we can go ahead and get that scheduled promptly. So
Sounds good.
we're running just a little tight on time, but I think that that was a good date. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's
That's
fine.
all.
I have something Thursday at 5 p.m., but other than that, it's.
Yeah, I think we were
done before that.
Yeah, I think we were looking at, I want to say either 2 or 3 o'clock. I think was the time frame.
Okay,
Good for me. Thank you.
very
Yeah.
good. Thank you. So we are adjourned.
Okay.
Or did we actually vote on adjournment? No.
No, I moved to adjourn and there's no second yet.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Okay.
So I'm in favor. Ed's smiling
Yes.
there and waving.
Yep.
So
I'm ready.
I'm in
okay,
favor.
and okay, we're all done. Thank you,
Thank you all.
everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yep. Thank you.